Despite huge discounts, potential home buyers fear being shut out. Chinese actress ordered to pay a staggering amount in taxes and fines. And sniffer dogs help in the fight to keep dirty money out of Hong Kong. Hello and a very good evening. 2,400 applications for the latest batch of home ownership scheme flats were collected today. But for many families, the dream of buying a home has turned into a fantasy. Kaina Chu has more.
How difficult is it to purchase a flat in Hong Kong? This lawmaker says people may have to go as far as not spending a single dime for more than a decade. Here's why.
As the price of the flats double up in the last 2 years, so the cost to pay the deposit also double up. But however, the average salary only increased from 15,000 to 18,000, only 20%.
That's only when you purchase via the private market. This morning, many citizens were at the Housing Authority's Lok Fu Customer Service Center. They were there to submit applications for more than 4,400 flats offered at 3 home ownership scheme estates: Kai Lok Court in Kai Tak, Ha Lok Court in Cheung Sha Wan, and Yu Tai Court in Tung Chung. Under the government's new housing initiative, the flats are sold at roughly 52% of the market price. The price is roughly $1.18 million to $4.68 million per unit. Even with the discount, this home buyer finds the flats difficult to afford. This lady is submitting an application on her son's behalf. She lamented at the affordability of the flats but still wanted to try her luck on a unit. The Housing Authority began accepting applications for the 3 estates at the beginning of the year. Some 15,000 applications submitted previously will remain valid. This flat ballot is set to take place next month after applications close on the 16th this month. Successful applicants can pick their flats in February next year. They cannot resell their flats on the market within the first 5 years. Kaina Chu, TVB News.
Well, travellers are now required to declare large sums of money in their possession when entering the city. As Haley Joe shows us, customs officers have help in catching those trying to bypass the new rule.
In this demonstration, Maggie detects a large sum of cash in this woman's suitcase. Maggie is a sniffer dog working with customs officers at immigration checkpoints in an effort to prevent dirty money from entering the city. Hong Kong also has a new law on the books which requires passengers carrying $120,000 or more in cash or traveler's checks to declare the amount in their possession.
For the first time offender, they can pay 2,000 Hong Kong dollars to discharge their criminal liability. But if he is a repeated offender, then the case will be brought to the court, and the maximum penalty is 500,000 Hong Kong dollars and imprisonment of 2 years.
The law is enforced at more than a dozen immigration checkpoints in the city. Money in checked baggage also counts. The Customs and Excise Department said the dogs received special training to carry out this assignment.
The performance, as just mentioned, it's no question, because in the first day of being on duty at the control point, this is a proven fact that Maggie has already sniped out passenger with over 120,000 Hong Kong dollars.
Cash detector dogs are only trained to detect a special ink used to print bills, so they're not able to detect other non-cash instruments. Officials said customs officers will check for non-cash instruments such as traveler's checks and money orders. The law went into effect on July 16th. Passengers were given a 3-month grace period, with offenders receiving written warnings. Haley Zhou, TVB News.
On the mainland, Chinese tax authorities have ordered actress Fan Bingbing to pay taxes and fines, totaling nearly 900 million yuan. Fan has disappeared from public view for several months. Today, the state-run Xinhua news agency said the actress will not be investigated over her criminal responsibility for tax evasion, as long as the taxes and fines are paid on time. More details now from Caleb Long.
Known as one of the mainland's most famous actresses, Fan Bingbing has dropped out of public view since June amid rumors she's the target of a tax evasion investigation. Mainland state media, including the Xinhua News Agency, ended months of speculations today. It reported that tax authorities launched an investigation in June after receiving reports about Fan evading taxes through contract frauds. Reportedly, Fan was found to have evaded 7.3 million yuan in taxes by using a secret contract that she signed for starring in the film Airstrike. She had instead paid taxes on a contract for only 10 million yuan. According to Xinhua, Fan and companies she represented also have tax arrears amounting to 248 million yuan. Fan was reportedly ordered by the authorities to pay around 884 million yuan in overdue taxes and fines. As this is Fan's first violation of the tax laws, she would not be held criminally accountable as long as she pays her fines and taxes on time. Xinhua's report did not indicate Fan's whereabouts. But Fan's agent is being held by the police for allegedly destroying evidence and obstructing the investigation. Fan later issued an apology on her official account on social media. She accepted the authorities' decision and said she would try her best to pay back the taxes and the fines. Fan also said she felt ashamed and guilty. "I'm unworthy of the trust of the society," she said in her apology. Fan is best known internationally for her role as Blink in 2014's X-Men Days of Future Past and a cameo in the Chinese version of Iron Man 3. Caleb Leung, TVB News.
Well, government probes into Fan Bingbing's financial dealings began shortly after she was accused by state media of using yin-yang contracts to lighten her tax burden. Sharon Tang has that story.
In Chinese philosophy, yin and yang represents the dark and bright sides to life and how the two contrary forces complement each other. In contractual terms, best known among the film industry, the yin contract sets out an actor's real earnings. On the other hand, the yang contract, which is submitted to the tax authorities, details a lower figure. Although state news agency Xinhua and Fan Bingbing herself did not explicitly raise the issue of yin-yang contracts in her apology letter, Chinese media had alleged that the actress underreported her income from blockbuster films. The practice is also something that is not confined to the film industry. A cinema studies expert says the trend is caused by productions overpaying leading actors and actresses on the mainland.
When you look at the structure of the entire production budget, sometimes the money that's paid to the stars actually exceeds 40-50% of the total budget.
She added that's made it difficult for them to pay their taxes, thus triggering the use of yin-yang contracts. The targeting of Fan was also seen as a warning, with authorities launching an effort to recover back taxes from others in the entertainment industry. Today, the Central Political and Legal Affairs Commission noted such a wrongful money-worshipping act could for once go wild in the dark, but it shall not live when it meets the light. Sharon Tang, TVB News.
A 2-year-old is in critical condition after medical staff injected him with medicine 5 times more than the prescribed dosage. The boy with heart disease was sent to Prince of Wales Hospital on Sunday, suffering from fever and breathing difficulties. His heart rate had plummeted and the patient's condition continued to worsen before returning to normal. Hospital staff checked the records and found out there was an overdose of the medicine. The hospital has sent out an apology to the boy's family, while a committee will look into the case. Meanwhile, the Centre for Health Protection reports nearly 60 people have contracted hand, foot and mouth disease over the past 2 weeks. Many of the victims are kids, with reported outbreaks occurring in kindergartens and childcare centres. At the same time, authorities have reported more than 24 cases of acute gastroenteritis. Schools are reminded to better protect young children who are more prone to infections. Overseas now, the death toll from last Friday's devastating earthquake and tsunami in the Indonesian island of Sulawesi has risen to more than 1,400. Aid workers warned of the increasing desperation in hard-hit outlying areas that have yet to get any help at all. Adding to the difficulty of the rescue operations, a volcano erupted on the same island this morning. Alan Buckney reports.
Underlining the sense of urgency, Indonesian President Joko Widodo made his second visit to the disaster zone today. He noted that heavy equipment and logistics had started to arrive since his initial visit Sunday, although fuel is still in short supply. When asked about when they can expect electricity back, he couldn't answer, saying it's all part of a process. He visited the collapsed Roa Roa Hotel in the city of Palu, where rescue operations continue. About 50 people are believed to have been in the 8-story building when it came down. Only 3 people have been pulled out alive and 9 bodies recovered. But 5 days after the disaster struck, time is running out for anyone trapped under the rubble. Security has been stepped up in the area.
Pasukan TNI juga kita gelar di tempat-tempat SPBU ya.
Indonesia's military chief said personnel have been deployed to fuel depots, markets, and the airport to prevent any looting. Officials fear the death toll could soar, since most of the confirmed dead are from Palu. The neighboring town of Sigi has yet to receive any aid because the roads to it have been impassable. Residents say they are in urgent need of food, clean water, medical teams, and tents. They're also asking for search and rescue teams because of the number of collapsed buildings and dead bodies. Meanwhile, a volcano erupted on the same island this morning, spewing ash 6,000 meters into the sky. Authorities are warning planes about volcanic ash in the air. No evacuations have been immediately ordered, however. A government scientist suspects the eruption was triggered by Friday's 7.5 magnitude quake. Alan Buckney, TVB News.
U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is heading back to North Korea for another round of talks aimed at getting leader Kim Jong-un to give up nuclear weapons. State Department spokeswoman Heather Nauert said Pompeo will be in Pyongyang on October 7th. He'll first visit Japan before going to North Korea. After his talks in Pyongyang, he'll also visit South Korea and China. Pompeo's 4th trip to North Korea this year comes ahead of another planned summit between Kim Jong-un and President Trump. At their first summit in Singapore back in June, the two leaders agreed to denuclearization of the Korean peninsula, only in vague terms. Well, US President Trump used a campaign rally to mock the woman who has accused Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of trying to rape her more than 30 years ago. Trump was looking to use the issue to rally his base ahead of the congressional elections in November.
US President Donald Trump was on the warpath in Mississippi, igniting a crowd at a campaign rally by mocking a woman who has claimed she was sexually assaulted by Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh decades ago. The audience laughed as Trump ran through a list of what he described as holes in Christine Blasey Ford's testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee last week.
So many different charges. Guilty until proven innocent. That's very dangerous for our country. That's very dangerous for our country. And a man's life is in tatters. A man's life is shattered. His wife is shattered. His daughters, who are beautiful, incredible young kids. They destroy people. They want to destroy people.
It marked the sharpest criticism by Trump of Ford since she came forward